Hello and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, welcome to the Ancient Esoterica YouTube channel. And if you've been sticking around, welcome back. Today we are going to tune into the post-eclipse season energies. So if you're seeing this, we have just come out of eclipse season. And that is a period of time that lasts about 2 weeks where there is a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse that brings a lot of transformation, change, upheaval, and faded endings and new beginnings. So we're going to dive into the tarot and also receive some assistance from some oracle decks to see what energies are present for us as we are stepping out of this eclipse season. The first card we have is the Ten of Cups. So I feel like what a lot of us were releasing through this eclipse season was a lot of tumultuous, I'm hearing. So a lot of turmoil and stress and overwhelm within family units. A lot of us released a lot of shadow expressions, and these eclipses were really relating to our relationships. And on the bottom of the deck, we also have the Lover's card. And I'm going to grab this one too, the Queen of Cups, because her energy has been very, very present through this eclipse season. And I feel like it's going to take us through the fall months and into the winter. So the Queen of Cups is an energy of balance within the emotions, but also being very strongly rooted in a sense of self and basically not getting bogged down by your emotions. So a lot of the healing that a lot of us have been doing through the last few weeks, and that is going to continue into the coming months, is a lot surrounding family dynamics, relationships, and how we operate within family units. Many of us may have been rooted in a lot of fantasies or a lot of old ancestral karmic energies, meaning maybe you thought you had to take the standard normal route of, you meet someone, you get married, you have children, that you raise your children, and that's the path. But maybe what was released over this eclipse season was your attachment to that normalcy and to that normal lifestyle. Because it's funny, the new moon solar eclipse on October 2nd was in Libra, and the zodiac sign of Libra is very closely related to the Justice Tarot card, which we have right here. So I feel like we have been balancing where we've been directing our energy and sort of the ideals and the goals that we've been upholding within ourselves. So as I said before, maybe it was sort of an expectation placed upon you to, have the normal standard family dynamics, like meet someone, marry them, have a kid with them. But what was being highlighted for you through this eclipse season, as you've come into your emotional sovereignty and as you have become very strong in your sense of self, you've really seen that maybe that standard path is not meant for you at this time. Now, this doesn't mean you'll never get married, you'll never have children, all of that. It just means that maybe you're not in a rush for that. Maybe you are okay with waiting, or okay with the person you're with now not being your forever person. Because right here we have the Six of Wands, and this card upright really represents having a very strong determination and focus on your purpose and your willpower very much being strengthened when you have yourself dead set on a goal, or when you are just very sure of your purpose. And as you can see here, there's people holding sticks trying to get this person's attention, trying to sway them, deter them from their path. But because he is so clear on his purpose and he is so dead set on where he is going, nobody can steer him off his path. And so in reverse, I'm really feeling that for a while we were letting people tell us what to do, tell us what our purpose is, what what we're destined for, and what our life path will entail. And this also relates to a lot of karmic ancestral family energies, because many times when we grow up, we are told, oh, you go to school, you get out of school, you go to more school, you go to college, you graduate, you get a job, you get married. Like, that's the path that's laid out for us. But a lot of the people who are tuning into this reading, I feel like you're black sheeps of the family, your old souls, starseeds, light workers. You don't do things normally. You don't follow the normal path. And maybe for a while you, not forced, but you felt called to pursue just that normal mainstream path, just to maybe become more grounded and to just see where that path takes you, just trying on different paths. But you may have found after following this path for a year or two or more that it's very hollow and it's very empty and it's not for you. Maybe you were sort of caught up listening to what other people want for you or what other people's expectations were, or just letting people deter you from your natural path that you felt within you. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. It just means that now you're more clear on your purpose, your vision, and where you want to go. And you're remembering that you have a choice, because the Lover's card to me always really signifies that we can choose who we are in relationship to. However, if there isn't a spark there, and the same can go for a job, so we can choose what career paths we want to take, what endeavors we embark on, and what energies we want to commit ourselves to. Because I feel like this is really having a lot to do with commitment, because a lot of these cards can sort of have a layer of commitment to them. So this card reminds us that we do have a choice, and that when we make our choices based on what feels good, what we are naturally attracted to, what resonates with us, that's how we experience the fruits of our labor, and how we experience the things we really want to experience. Because if we remain stuck in relationship dynamics where the spark isn't really there, but it's familiar, or if we remain in a job that we are really not passionate about, that is not utilizing our skills, and that is not in harmony with who we are at our core and who we know ourselves to be, even if we're choosing to stay within that, if the passion and the energy isn't there, there's always going to be a leak and an energy drainage. And I feel like that's what our attention was drawn to throughout eclipse season. Was where are we leaking our energy? Where are we giving our power away? And where are we letting people deter us from our path because we don't want to lose their love? Meaning, if an authority figure or a parent is telling you that you need to pursue a certain path and you are afraid to go against them, it could be because you are afraid to lose their love, or to become disconnected from them, or to lose a sense of belonging. Because this, I feel like, is a big theme as we move through the fall months of this year and into the winter and the beginning of 2025, is can you courageously tread off the beaten path for your own highest good? Meaning, can you take the path of your highest expansion, of your that resonates most within your heart center, even if others disagree with it, and even if others fight you on it and try to get you to come back into the realms of safety? Because oftentimes when we're going to grab that real quick. Oftentimes when we choose to go on a different path, and that is a path that is different from our family members and from our ancestry, our family members always just want to keep us safe. I want to say that, because no one, I feel like, especially those tuning into this reading, it's not that anyone does not have your best interest at heart. It's more so that people can be blinded by their own fears and their own lack of pursuit of their own dreams. So they try to keep you within what's safe, within what's familiar, and within what's known to them. but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's good for you. So the nodes in astrology are very connected to us, to the eclipses. And we just moved through these nodal points within our destiny, within our lives. And we have the card of the South Node, which is the energies that we are destined to release. So we have been destined to release these energies that are not aligned with us. Meaning, if you have felt within your heart that there is something else for you, there is. And once you release the need to people please, the need to meet other people's expectations, and the need to be someone you're not just to please others or to fit a externalized expectation, when we release that, we can open ourselves up to what we are destined for, what we are meant for, and who we are meant to be in this lifetime. Because I really, really do feel like those who are tuning into this message, you have a destiny and you have a purpose, which you may know and may already be in tune with, but you haven't been allowing yourself to pursue it because you've been too caught up in listening to these people and too caught up in not having a family and holding on to whatever connections are around you because you just need a sense of connection. Like, I feel like a lot of you guys maybe have been loners, or like I said, black sheep, or just very different from your peers, and you've really clung on to whatever relationships and connections you've had in your life because you've been so lacking in human connection. So we pulled a few other cards, but we'll start with the next one. Now that we've moved through these lessons and now that we see what we see, we cannot unsee these things. And that means there is a challenging situation on our horizon and a mountain to climb that is in store for us in this next chapter of our lives. This could be clearing conversations that need to be had, or a truth that you need to express to a family member, or just something that you need to face head on and know that you have the strength and courage to overcome and move through whatever this challenging situation is. Don't back yourself into a corner. Don't retreat back into your comfort zone. However, give yourself all the time you need. Don't rush into climbing this mountain and to overcoming this challenging situation just to get over it, just to get through it. Really allow yourself to slow down and move with the natural processes of life. And I truly believe that you will come out on the other side of this so grateful and so proud of yourself for taking on these challenges and for climbing that mountain and having these conversations that you may have been avoiding having for a long time. Next, which is so interesting, we have the Gemini card right here, which the zodiac sign that the Lover's Tarot card is actually connected to is Gemini. So this is a cool little synchronicity right here. So I feel like as you have cleared space and freed up your energy, and you can now see clearly the steps that you need to take or that your soul is calling for you to take in the coming months, you're getting curious about life and really using your intellect and the connections that you're making moving forward to fuel these changes and to fuel a new sense of stability that you're going to be stepping into. Because you really are pioneering a totally new path. It feels like you all are pioneers of your own creation. You're here to write stories, new stories, not just repeating the same old stories of struggle and survival and strife and egoic mastery, and basically not just recycling the same old stories we've been hearing and seeing on our TV for our entire lifetime and for generations. You're here to tell new stories, to share about the strength of the human spirit and what is possible for us when we tread off the beaten path, when we decide to pursue our destiny and that we are worth more than we've been told. because we may have been told that we're small, that we're less than. Again, not in a bad or malevolent or evil way, just we're all just used to sucking it up and hating life. Like, oh, it is what it is. I hate my life, but there's nothing I can do about it. Like, that's what we're all used to. So many of us generationally have been passed down these stories that you have to just suck it up, that there's nothing you can do, that, it is what it is, and you have to just accept the cards that you've been dealt. However, I'm really feeling that you all have seen the illusion within this concept and have seen that when you are brave and when you instigate a new path and new choices that are resonant within the core of your being, entirely new timelines and human experiences open themselves up for you. And the more you network and connect with other people who are doing what you're doing, who see what you see, and who feel what you feel, I really feel like you're going to be able to gain more clarity, but more so gain more trust in yourself and in the universe at large. Because many of us have felt betrayed by the universe in the past, especially because when we've tried to pursue our purpose, we've had these people kind of gaslight our truth and tell us that no, that's not possible and that's not true, and to just stay small and to stay within the bounds of the matrix. And I want to draw our attention back to the Justice card real quick, because the Justice card really speaks on truth and being able to stand in truth no matter what oppositions or what falsities, I don't know if that's a word, but things that are false and things that are illusory in nature, no matter what we're being bombarded with, if we can learn how to stand in our truth, we will be able to weather any storms that come our way. And we'll be able to come out stronger, wielding our sword and being certain that we have what it takes to move through these scenarios. Because I feel like a lot of us have felt the truth within our being, have felt that there is so much more to life than this mainstream matrix path that we've been handed, but we've been so stifled and stuffed down by our authority figures, by our families, by these people who are trying to keep us within the bounds, that we've sort of betrayed our own personal truth. And we see that clearly now. We see where we've betrayed ourselves. We see where we've shied away from the truth out of fear and out of attachment to safety and familiarity. But all that shit's done. We done there, y'all. Because we've caught a glimpse of the infinite potential that lies within our soul during this past eclipse season. We've really seen what we are capable of and have felt maybe within our heart center what is possible for us on the other side of these fears and on the other side of the comfort zone. Because our comfort zone is something that gives us stability, keeps us grounded, and helps us to be able to feel safe and secure on the earth plane. However, you may have heard this phrase before, all dreams die within the comfort zone. And you cannot accomplish these unforeseen and unexperienced things, like energies and situations and life paths that have not been experienced for thousands of years. We cannot experience those things within our comfort zone because our comfort zone has been orchestrated for us by the Matrix and by the powers that were, and these beings that were trying to keep us safe, but were cutting us off from the magic and the unlimited potential that lies within our soul and our multi-dimensionality. And since we've caught a glimpse at our own multidimensional nature, we are now ready to experience that. So maybe many of you have received downloads or insights or just overall in general situations in meditation, basically what I'm getting at is like you guys have been seeded the essences the feelings and the visualizations of what is possible for you in these coming months. Maybe you've developed like a crush on someone and that has ignited this energy in your heart center that you haven't felt in years. You know, maybe you've spent a lot of time alone and you've really connected with what it would feel like to be within a soul tribe and to experience life with like-minded people who share the same values and interests with you. Like, I feel like an idea and an essence was seated within your heart that you've been really tuning into and really feeding or feeling into that is very promising. And this new energy promises stability if you are persistent and are committed to moving through these challenges and climbing that mountain that is ahead of you. Because we all hold loyalty and dependability within ourselves. And when we employ that in the right ways at the right times, we can literally move mountains. Like, if you are completely dedicated and loyal to yourself and your path, it doesn't matter if other people disagree with that. You're not going to hurt them. I'm hearing, this feels like a channeled message maybe for one of you. You're not going to hurt them by pursuing your passions. You're not going to hurt and lose connection with your family members if your loyalty is placed elsewhere and is placed into situations that really serve your highest good. It is not wrong of you to choose a different path than your family. I feel like some of you really need to know that. And so the last deck that we're going to be tuning into is the Blind Spot Oracle deck by Teal Swan. This one's a doozy. I was only going to pull one, but a few came out. And pretty much what they are sigils drawn by Teal Swan herself that basically detail what is within our blind spot and what energies we may not be seeing. So as we approach this new chapter, what energies are in our blind spot and what are we not seeing? So, sigil number 68 is the sigil of self-harm. I'm going to read a little bit from it, not the whole thing. If you have drawn this sigil, you are currently self-harming, and this self-harming you are engaged in is not benefiting you or anyone else in the situation. Instead, it is keeping you stuck. Okay, this is exactly what I was feeling with this like familial energy, because many of us are really feeling called to commit to our purpose, to commit to these higher visions and these spiritual essences that have been seated within our higher chakras, and to really bring them down into our lower chakras to be experienced and manifest onto the planet. So we'll keep reading. There's always a positive motive for our self-harming behavior. We might be telling ourselves that if we punish ourselves, we'll never make the same mistake again, or that we can do penance and be more likely to restore our sense of own goodness. So this is something that I see a lot in my Akashic Records readings that I do for clients. And it comes up as something called negative unjustified karma. And what that is, it's often when we make a mistake, most often in our past lives, and it is a mistake that we are so adamant on not making again that we will actually punish ourselves by upholding the energy within our field so that we don't make the same mistakes again. So say in a past life we were very lethargic and we were very lazy, we never pursued our goals, and that caused us to hurt others. Like maybe we should have gotten a job, but we never did because we were too lazy and we were too stuck in our comfort zone, and that caused our spouse to break their back at their job because they had to work extra hours. And we can feel very guilty because of that and hold that energy within our field so that we never make that same mistake again. And now how that shows up is through sort of punishing ourselves and not letting ourselves be lethargic at any cost. It can show up as an aversion to laziness, a hyperactivity. And so if there is energies that you are holding within your field as a way to punish yourself, I invite you to really take a step back and look at these dynamics, because oftentimes we don't necessarily intend to hurt ourselves. We don't intend to cause harm on ourselves or others. Oftentimes we're just stuck in these unconscious dynamics and are unwilling to really take a step back and look at them. And so, as I said, we might be telling ourselves that if we punish ourselves, we'll never make that same mistake again and restore our own sense of goodness. But by hurting yourself and by punishing yourself and, forcing yourself to do too much, to take on more than you can chew, or by forcing yourself to play small and not pursue your purpose or your passions, you're actually hurting yourself and all the beings you could be of service to if you were to have the courage to take this leap of faith and to step into these new energies. So another part of this card is we might be constantly criticizing ourselves, thinking that criticism will cause us to maintain perfection in our performance. So many of us may be perfectionists and may have been overly critical of ourselves, where we've fallen short, where we have not fully lived up to the potential that we know we can live up to, which I also think really ties into this purpose energy. So if you felt a call to start a podcast, write a book, start a practice of some sort, a healing practice, a teaching practice, if you felt called to pursue anything, but you've been overly critical about how you have not been doing that or how you have not been good enough, that is also sort of a form of self-harm, and it's rooted in control. And when you can really release control and surrender to the flow of love that is within and around all of us and is within every single thing, you can love even those parts of yourself that do fall short. Meaning, say you do want to start a healing practice and you just became Reiki certified, but when you go to offer your services, you feel resistance and you feel anxiety. That inner self-critic may have come online in the past and has been like, what the heck, this is what you want to do, yada, yada. But when you come back and you invite in the energies of love and understanding, you may be able to see that, oh, this is just a new path. This is just something that I've never done before and that my ancestors were burned at the stake for doing, hundreds of years ago. So you can give yourself compassion and move forward anyways, even if that fear is there. Because you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be perfect to start your practice. If you've never filmed a YouTube video, but you want to get on YouTube, the only way you are going to fulfill that purpose, that destiny, that vision is by starting. And you're not going to start being at the same level of expertise as YouTubers who have been filming for 10 years. So remind yourself of that you're not going to be perfect right out the gate. You're going to have to be okay with being new at things and in being okay with the learning curve, because there's so much waiting for you on the other side of this novice period I'm feeling. Because as I said, we just stepped out of this eclipse season. We've released a lot of what's been holding us back from stepping into this new chapter. And now it's time to step. It's time to step into that new chapter, even if you don't have it all figured out, even if you're not practiced, and even if there's a possibility that you will fail. Because as you fail, which I don't believe in failure, I just believe in learning and growing through the mistakes we make. As you make those mistakes, that's how you learn, and that's how you become an expert. Like, I'll say this, if you feel called to start a YouTube channel, go look at the people who you've been watching, who you look up to and you admire, and go back to their first videos. they're probably pretty cringy, every one of them. And that will really, really help you feel, I don't want to say better, but understand more that you have what it takes to become like these people that you see online that you want to be like. So yeah, take what resonates, leave what does not, and we'll move on to the next one. So this is sigil number 15, and it is what you really want and need. If you have drawn this sigil, you're not aware of or are not admitting to what you really want or need. Oh my God, this ties into it too. Like many of us may have been just saying, oh, I'm fine, this is fine, when it's not. Because you're not wanting to disturb the peace. You're not wanting to enter into that fear zone that comes with individuating and choosing and walking your own path. And we often fear what is unfamiliar. And I think that that's what all of this is wrapped up in. Like the reason why you've been stalling and why you've been holding yourself back from stepping into your purpose is because of fear. And the more you can admit that to yourself and honor that that is a part of being human, the more you can step into these 10 of Cups energies that you so have been longing. It feels like longing since childhood. So stop submitting yourself to these old, outdated, false dynamics that you've normalized and that you think that there's all there is, and really tune into the possibility. Like dream your biggest dream and really feel into like what is possible if I strip it all away and just move forward anew and really just spend time tuning into that dream that you hold within your heart. All right, so you're not aware of what you really want or need. This is not benefiting you or anyone else involved in the situation because you either end up miserable because you're denying your truth or using subconscious manipulative strategies to get what you want and need. For example, if I help someone so that I can get gratitude and validation, I am getting those things through manipulation. If I touch someone, saying that it is for them, but it is really because I need touch, I am manipulatively getting touch. When you desire something, that desire is the emotional indication that you have given birth to a new improved idea. That improved idea holds a frequency, and your non-physical self matches that new frequency the minute you desire it. So now, there's a gap between the frequency your physical self holds and the frequency your non-physical self holds. There is a vibrational gap between you and what you want. Oh my God, this is resonating so much. This is what pain is really about. To avoid directly meeting your needs and to avoid your actual desires is to defy both personal and universal expansion, which is why you are even in this physical life. The bottom line is, it doesn't work. You can't keep it up. In opposition to popular opinion, desire and needs never cause pain. It's the way we resist our desires and needs and what we add to them that causes us pain. What makes desire painful are thoughts like these. I can't have what I desire. I don't deserve what I want. I'm not good enough until I get this thing that I desire. If I express my needs, I will be abandoned because nobody will want to meet them. It's not okay to need what I need. It's not okay to want this thing that I want. What causes pain is continuing to focus on what you don't have or don't like or don't want after you have already given birth to the idea of what you do want. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say, before I start getting too excited, all cycles of desire are natural. They all have a natural beginning and an ending. And now this doesn't mean that every single desire we need to act on, because sometimes our desires can be rooted in unmet needs and can be gone about in ways that don't serve us. Meaning, for example, if you really desire human connection, but what you've been used to is going out to bars and drinking with people, and you can feel that it does not serve you anymore, you can allow that desire cycle to pass by not acting on the desire and by recognizing within yourself what that true desire is. So it doesn't mean you don't seek human connection. It means you don't seek connection in those old ways. Because these cycles of desire come into our lives to steer our ship towards expansion. We desire things that allow us to expand. But oftentimes we kind of get stuck in the ego when we experience these desires, who tries to meet those needs or tries to pursue those desires in old ways, like I said. So as this was saying, when we deny what we truly want, and when we say things like, I'm not good enough until I get the thing I desire, I can't have what I desire, all of that, that just stifles our energy. And it feels like that is what we've been stuck in leading up to this eclipse season. Like, we've been very much stuck in telling ourselves we don't deserve what we want, or being too afraid to pursue what we desire, or just not allowing ourselves to go after what we want because we're so afraid we won't get our needs met, we'll betray others, we won't receive love from others, etc., etc. So I want to keep reading this one because this is really hitting. No matter how much you may want it to be different, you have needs. Every being on earth has needs. A need is something that is required in order to live, succeed, or be happy. And you cannot unrequire something that is required. You cannot argue your way into seeing that it isn't necessary. So you can't sit there and convince yourself that it's fine, you don't need to pursue your dreams, you'll just stay small. You cannot do that forever. Eventually, you're going to reach your breaking point, whether it's an illness, whether it's panic attacks, or whether it's just a deep resistance to continuing on living the same way. And eventually, you're going to have to turn and meet your own needs. You cannot unrequire something that is required. You cannot argue your way into seeing that it isn't necessary. You have one option when it comes to your needs, and that is to meet them. Why is this your one option? Because if you do not meet those needs consciously, you will meet them subconsciously. And this is what manipulation is. So many of us may have been stuck in cycles of manipulating others to get our needs met. And this does not mean you're a bad person, you're weak, you're wrong. You may have just been stuck in a sort of survival mode that you've been in since childhood, of just trying to manipulate others to get your needs met because you were a child and you could not meet your own needs. So it was a learned, adopted behavior as a result of the situations you were in and the experiences that you were moving through. But you've released so much of this karma, and you don't have to keep playing the same games and telling the same stories. You can break out on your own and take radical responsibility for creating your life the way you want it to be. Oof. Because you're denying your actual wants and needs, you're living inside a rat cage. A rat cage is anything that keeps you apart from what you genuinely want or from who you really are. Consider that anything could act as a prison bar in your own rat cage. Something that once set you free from your rat cage can now be the very thing keeping you trapped inside it. It is critical that you begin the process of setting yourself free from the attachments you have to your own rat cage before the universe demolishes it for you. So, big tower moments on the horizon. And that does not have to be something that is feared, because I believe that the Tower card in tarot always, and these tower moments that we're coming into, it always comes because the grounds that we've built our tower on and built our lives on were unstable. And maybe many of us have built our lives around manipulating others to get our needs met, and have been keeping ourselves in a bit of a cage unintentionally, and not really knowing that it's been us perpetrating this and creating this. And so these tower moments that are on the horizon are for our highest good and our best interest, because if we keep ourselves in the cage forever, we are going to passively move through life, and we are never going to experience what we truly came here to experience. Yeah. If you have drawn this sigil, You have to risk that feeling of shame and or fear and admit to what you really want and need. Express that truth to others and take actions to bring those things into fruition. Right now, you are swallowing a heavy dose of self-denial to the detriment of yourself and others. The question for you to ask yourself is why? And that's a personal question for you. You don't have to share this with anyone because the energies of shame and guilt and fear are very intense and very heavy and are not easy to publicly display and speak about. So if you're moving through this energy, really take some time to yourself, maybe in a journaling practice, a morning practice, out in nature, whatever feels safe and loving and compassionate and best for you. Really dive into why you have been keeping yourself in this cage and why you have needed to manipulate others to get your needs met. And I promise you, on the other side of these uncomfortable truths and this uncomfortable facing off with these shadow elements within ourselves, on the other side of that is everything you've ever wanted. Everything. And so our last card here is sigil number 60, which is superiority. If you have drawn this sigil, you have fallen into the ego trap of superiority. Your ego's desire to see itself as better is clouding your awareness, judgment, and capacity to achieve what you really want in this scenario. So I will pause and say that I feel like when a lot of us do get the inklings to follow a new path and to pave our new way and pursue our purpose, it can sort of serve as fuel for the superiority of the ego. Like we can see ourselves as better than our family members or better than our friends because we're choosing to have the courage to create our new path and to, pioneer into new directions. And I invite everyone to really kind of check your egos and honor that if you have stepped into a little bit of this superiority, it's okay. It's sort of part of the reclamation process as well, because many of us, when we're involved in these matrix traps and these energies, we feel less than because we want to do things differently. We feel less than because we're different. And so when we start to reclaim our sovereignty, it is sort of a natural part of that process to see ourselves as good enough and as better than others to an extent. And as we continue to evolve, we start to shed even those layers and start to see ourselves more as equals, etc. So I'll keep reading. The ego is preoccupied with comparison thinking. The ego is, after all, a self-concept, so it seeks to differentiate itself from others. We have learned that to be less than others in any way is bad, and that it leads to things that threaten not only our self-esteem, but also our well-being and ability to get what we desire. It makes our self-concept negative and makes us feel prevented from what we want. For example, if a woman wants to have a relationship with a man and she perceives herself to be less attractive than another woman in the room, she will not feel equal to that other woman. Her self-concept relative to her attractiveness will decrease negatively, and she will perceive herself to be prevented from what she wants. The amount of pain this kind of experience creates makes it obvious why we then begin to fight for equality and, even more than that, superiority. So I feel like a lot of the people tuning into this reading have spent a lot of time in states of being rooted in inferiority and feeling less than and in that comparison energy. And we are all really being invited to sort of drop the ego, see our path for what it is, see others' paths for what it is, and release that judgment and release that need to be better than, to be less than, etc. Because at the end of the day, it all is. And here's an amazing example that has helped me in my own personal experiences with these energies. So imagine you are a fifth grader and you have been spending all of your time in the kindergarten room, and you're sitting there and you're judging these kindergartners and saying, like, why can't you do basic math? Why can't you write words? Judging these people based on things that you can do. but they can't do because of where they are at. Doesn't that seem silly? And so if you see yourself as a starseed, as a light worker, as a pioneer for new paths and new energies that have not been felt on the earth plane for thousands of years, you cannot sit there and shame and belittle others because they are choosing to work a 9 to 5 and because they are choosing unconsciousness. Because maybe you're a 5th grader and they're a kindergartner. Maybe in their soul's journey of evolution, what they need are the lessons of this simple, normal, matrix, unconscious life. Just because it's not serving you doesn't mean it's not going to serve them. So, quick analogy. All right. The human ego cannot handle perceiving itself to be inferior. It is a threat. It begins a subconscious mission to try to gain equality, and more than that, to become better than the person it currently feels inferior to. You will find any way you can knock them off that pedestal or try to get on a bigger pedestal yourself. There's nothing inherently wrong with comparison thinking. For example, when it's part of healthy competition, it can even fuel us to do our best. But if we're using it as a tool that hurts ourselves or others, we need to let go of it. People did not come here to be compared to other people. If this were the point of life, God or Source would have just made clones of the best possible person. We came here to be unique expressions of Source consciousness, and by comparing yourself to others, you're disallowing your own uniqueness. We are stopping ourselves from seeing that we are all superior to each other in certain ways and inferior in other ways. Michelangelo once said, "Every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it is the task of the sculptor to discover it." A person's contribution, purpose, and value to this world is entirely unique, so let it be. The thing we are most concerned with when it comes to equality is value. We want to be valued equally or more than other people. In this physical dimension, however, this is impossible because value is determined by needs, perspective, and preferences. For example, in a time of war, a diamond or ruby has no value whatsoever. A bottle of alcohol, on the other hand, has loads of value. If a woman wants to be financially taken care of, and both a rich man and the most emotionally available man in the world walk through the door, the woman will value the rich man. An employee's needs will not be treated as equal to the needs of a CEO because a company can afford to lose and replace a worker while they cannot afford to lose and replace a CEO. We want our perspective to matter as much as anyone else's in any given circumstance, but it doesn't. If someone meditated on a mountain for 20 years, your opinion about meditation would not matter as much as theirs. It would be inferior in that moment. If you've drawn this sigil, you're being called to really see how you are in a fight to be valued by demanding that you are more or better than someone else in some way. This suggests that you have an insecurity lurking within you. What is it? Even if you are a better athlete, for example, or know more about something than someone else does, your superiority in the scenario is doing damage and preventing what you desire. Something you are thinking, saying, and or doing is making people feel inferior, which makes them perceive you as a threat. So, I feel like this is a perfect parting message for this reading because as you start to tread on your own path, and maybe you already have been, I invite you to drop superiority complexes and see the inherent value that every single human being has within themselves. Because you are so valuable for being a courageous being and desiring to pave new ways, to birth new paradigms, and to tread off that beaten path. However, your neighbor is also equally as valuable for getting up every day and showing up to their 9 to 5 job and providing food for their family in whatever way they know best. And even though you may know that we're all spiritual beings having a temporary human experience, and you may know that we all come here with an inherent purpose seated within our DNA, your neighbor may not know that, and that does not make him any less than you. That does not make him any less worthy of love and abundance and success than you. And now many of us may have been abused by others and may have been really gaslit and had our dreams just like stifled and put down and crushed. But that does not mean that you have to do the same thing to others. Meaning, if other people are shaming you for what you want and what you desire, you cannot shame other people for what they want and they desire, and for choosing comfort over what you may perceive as strength and stability. Because the more we can start to see everyone as equals, and really maybe play around with that analogy as I spoke on about maybe you're a fifth grader and those you're around are in kindergarten. But don't play with it in a way that makes you more superior. Just see that you are a very evolved soul who has come here for a reason, not to play the Matrix game. But some of the souls around you, they have come to just play that Matrix game. That is what is in store for them in this incarnation, and that is what is within their soul's path. Because we cannot bite off more than we can chew. Otherwise, we're going to choke. And we have to take things one step at a time. And many of you souls who are tuning into this right now, you have been preparing for what you are stepping into for lifetimes. Lifetimes. And a lot of the people you may have been comparing yourself to or seeing yourself as more superior to have not. Maybe this is their first lifetime where they are tuning into the cosmos and spiritual energy and awakening their higher chakras. Maybe it's the first time their soul has done it, period. Because a lot of us have come to help these earther souls and these souls who are just starting on their expansion and reconnection to source. They have been lost to the seas of unconsciousness and the matrix for thousands of years, and many of us have not been. And that doesn't make anybody less than or better than, smarter or stupider, whatever. It just is. And it's all part of the path. So, as always, take what resonates and leave what does not. I am sending you all so much love as you approach these challenges and climb these mountains and individuate and become that pioneering spirit that you know yourself to be. You got this. You got this. And if you're interested in booking a one-on-one reading with me, I'll link my website in the description because I have a variety of Akashic Records readings and services. I do offer tarot and oracle card readings, psychic readings, and I offer shamanic life coaching, which helps you to integrate your soul into your humanity using a variety of shamanic tools, teachings, and practices, and using the wisdom of the Akashic field. So, I am sending you all so much love. Peace out, and namaste.